up, family? CTR Media Network. Yeah. Best in the biz. Yeah. Join the team. CTR is who we are, the media network, that's the best by far. Whether you listen at your home, at your job, in your car, come get the information that's needed above par. Never lasting, motivational podcasting, giving you the answers to the questions that you're asking. Serious talks and topics, how to come up and profit, how to better yourself. Your health is here, we got it. Reaching 350 million, they tuning in. We in 50 different countries, we all can. And like minded, find your purpose and your assignment. Come get your fix, your feel, your mental alignment. Get active and speak to the masses. Build your influence, all levels and all classes. Now you know you can monetize and grow. CTR Media Network, start the show.
The Vera Talent Show. The Vera Talent Show. The Vera Talent Show. The Vera Talent Show. Let's talk about it. 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 On the Vera Talent Show. Let's talk about it. Yeah.
Hello, hello, hello. I am so excited, but I say that every week, don't I? Well, it's because I am. I'm excited about the guests that come on here that pour into our audience. And I am so elated to have Jacque Zoccoli with me today. And before I bring her on, and before I even share her bio, she has a little video that will give you a piece of her heart. So I'm going to share that to start off.
Good morning. It's Jacque Zoccoli with Network Builders Arizona. And we're starting a new week with building relationships and what it actually requires for you to build that relationship. And of course, I will always say this, as I do when I start any of these, the most important is to know yourself, to know your qualities that you do well, to know what it is that inspires you. What is it that drives you? What is your passion? And what is your gift to this world? You really can't explore any other relationships until you know a little more about yourself. So today I want you to think about what you offer this world. What is your spark? What is it? Not an elevator speech. I'm not talking elevator here. I'm talking about what is your gift? What is it that you're offering, that you do and you love to do? Some people never find that, and yet it's sitting there right in front of you and within you. So the first today in building the relationships with others is to know yourself, know what you do well so that you can offer it to others. So do a little assessment today, if you would please, and then come either comment at the bottom here, or at least come to my website, JaclynZoccoli.com. Would love to hear from you. And our quote today comes from Robert Jones, obviously, good old Robert from The Art of Connection. Be the first to ask, the first to listen, the first to serve. And the question, in what ways do you serve your community? In what ways should your community serve you? Excellent points, Robert. Please do comment below as to what is your spark. What is it that you are offering in service? And you know what? As I read it below, I hope to be able to share that spark with someone else. I'd love to do that. So let's do that together and make it a great day.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Hello, Jackie. How are you doing?
Great.
Well, it is so, I am just elated to have you here with me today. And one of the things that I'm going to do is share your bio with our audience so that they know a little bit about you. But then I'm going to have you share with our audience more about Jackie Zoccoli. So, Network Builders Arizona, her quote is to learn, to love, to give. For these three things is why I live. I love it. I love it. I love it. And then she says, my age justifies my wisdom. My development clarity teaches the excitement of awareness, igniting the spark of action and charge.
Okay.
Jackie Zoccoli is recognized as an impactful speaker, author, and coach. She authored Spontaneous Combustion, Developing Profitable Relationships, and soon to be released, Who Me? Creating Your Excitement of Awareness. Her topics revolve around creating powerful alliance teams. Jackie's ability to see new niches, resources, is exceeded only by her knack of turning them into profit centers. The collaboration process she lives has expanded globally to create alliance teams in developing countries, thus increasing love, prosperity, and peace worldwide. Well, Jackie, I am just honored to have you here on my show today. And I'm going to give you the floor and just share your story. Share with our audience, how did Jackie Zoccoli become this international peacemaker? And just give us a little bit about your history.
Well, thank you, Vera, first of all, for having me on your show. We have worked together for probably about a year, maybe longer. And I am very excited for all the things that we can do together and have done together. So, first of all, I want to thank you for all that you're doing in so many ways. And mine really started, I would say, my whole concept started when I joined the Peace Corps at an early age of about 20. And I had just gotten out of college, and we had just gotten married, and we looked around and said, you know, we can always be teachers, but we can't always travel the world. Now, was peace actually on my plate as something that I really was determined to do? At that time, probably not. I had no clue. I was too young. And yet it did become part of my life some 50 years later. Yeah, I'm older than dirt. So the point was that after we went through the Peace Corps in Liberia and West Africa and realized the beauty and the wonder and the actual celebration of differences, really, is what I would say would be the celebration of differences, is what I finally got to 50 years later. I had been in the corporate world. I had started my own business. I had actually had desktop publishing as a business. Most people aren't old enough to know what that meant. And then I started networking groups in California. And after I had started them throughout the Bay Area, people would say, I don't know what to do with the referrals. So I began using networking as my business versus just the desktop publishing and the teaching of that. So after that, fast forward to about 2015, and at that point, I met a woman that is what we call an indigo, and she's here for the second time. She knows what's happening, and she said to me, "You don't know, do you?" And I said, "I don't know. What don't I know?" To which she said, "You're here to change humanity." I said, "What? Are you kidding?" I cried all the way home, and I established the mantra that you heard. And that began my whole quest to literally change what was happening in the world, and things began to come to my path. And what happened was that the first thing was I became part of a group called International Youth Parliament. and it works with youth from 16 to 29. And their whole purpose is the projects to work through the UN guidelines to increase love, prosperity, and peace. So I decided to mentor them. And so I mentored and I do in 10 countries. And as I'm doing this, what came about was a gamified literacy app. And that literacy app takes the child through 8 learning modalities and to 3rd grade level in 90 days. So that was very inspiring. And the next thing that came along was Lifesavers Ambassadors International. And this group works with projects all over the world, mostly focusing on women and girls. And so I decided that, gee, I'd like to get this gamified literacy app in countries all over the world. And so what I did was, or what we are doing, is taking this app into 10 countries and affecting the lives of 150,000 children, which will literally change education on the planet that we know today. So that just continues to mushroom with the gamified literacy app and with the other things I'm doing globally.
That is amazing. I mean, yes, God put you here for a purpose, and I can attest to your networking skills. You say what it is you want to do, and Jackie's going to say, "Oh, have you talked to this person? Do you know this person?" And she connects. She is the connector, and she connects you with those people and those resources and those avenues that can propel you into what she talked about at the beginning in that video, recognizing who you are, what your passions are, what your God-given talents are. And it's sad that so many people never learn that. They never know that. You know, I think about the dash in the middle of our from birth to death, and that dash in the center, and you are a testament to recognizing what it is that you are supposed to be doing, and not only recognizing it, but you're doing it. You're doing it, which is just absolutely wonderful. Now, our topic was on integrity, and when you look at the definition for integrity, it is the quality of being honest with moral principles and moral uprightness. And let's face it, we need more of that today. We need more of that today. So, Jackie, I am just elated that that's a part of the topic for discussion. And so I'd like for you to just kind of share why that topic and what it means to you, and how do we convey that, and how do we get people to understand how important integrity is?
Well, I think probably the most important thing when you look at integrity, it's what you're doing when no one's around. It's your absolute moral compass. It's your character. It's everything about you. Therefore, it is obviously when you're doing anything, you're breathing, anything you're doing is what would be called your integrity. And so often we forget that that is what's being reflected as we go into the world. Now, you and I could go on for probably days on the value of being parents
Yes.
and withstanding and supporting and being very clear about your integrity. It's doing what you say you'll do, when you say you'll do it, and to be trusted and counted on to do that with a core, as far as I'm concerned, of love. And again, increasing love, prosperity, and peace. It's all related to that. And this really became obvious to me when I met my mentor in the 90s. And some of the things that she has instilled in me with the concept of integrity is what I try to do my best to spread globally as I continue to live this life. and they have been guidelines to be able to help me to be the person that I am. And one of them, if you're into some of the guidelines that might help people to grow
Yes.
and to be able to give to their children.
Yes.
The first one is the hardest to accept, is that we are 100% responsible for who we are. No one else
Yes.
is. That's the only thing that we do have in this world, is our own responsibility. Nobody can make you do anything.
Say
So,
that again. Say that again.
yes, I've said that to children, and I wonder how well that went over. Oh, you can't make me do anything. But the point is, you are responsible for everything that happens to you. Now, someone will say, well, that car ran into me. It's not my fault. No, that's true. It probably was not your fault. But the fact is that you're responsible for being there and taking care of yourself. No one
Yes.
else is responsible for that but you,
And
100%. And
yes.
when you accept that and you don't put blame, oh, so and so happened. Oh, the president didn't do that. Oh, that, all of this, that's not your responsibility. Your responsibility is your respond, not react to things. What you
Amen.
do with things that are about you is all about your integrity and how you act instead of react. It's your
Yes.
respondability is what it is. Your responsibility is your respondability, your ability to tell the world who you are by what you do.
Amen. Amen. And that's one of the misconceived behaviors that I talk about when I'm talking to parents, the blame game. And I have to admit that after my divorce, I was bitter. And I remember, and I share this story, I remember a friend coming to my house and I was so bitter. I was like, if it wasn't for this, if it wasn't for that, if it wasn't for him, my life wouldn't be this way. And she looked me dead in my eyes and she said, no, Vera, if it wasn't for you and the choices that you've made, your life wouldn't be this way. Now, when she told me that, of course, we don't want to hear that. We don't want, how dare you tell me that it's my fault that I'm in this situation? How dare you? But awareness precedes change. And when we know better, we do better. And as a result of me learning, because it's something you have to learn, to take responsibility and stop blaming everything and everybody for everything that happens in your life. By me being able to do that, I was able to teach my son that you are responsible for your choices and the consequences of your actions and behaviors. And so kids can't learn that if they're with parents that are not accepting responsibility. And saying, I love when you said, no one can make you do anything. No one can make you do anything. Eleanor Roosevelt said, no one can make you feel inferior without your permission.
Mission. Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
so parents, take heed to this and understand your children will grow to be responsible if you're teaching responsibility by modeling that. One of the problems in our country today is that too many people are blaming everybody else for everything that's happening. And we have to know that we can be the change we want to see. All right, I'm gonna shut up. All right.
Well, you've come into at least two or three in your expressions of some of the other integrity concepts. So often we think of um, cause rather than results, or excuses rather than results, and that's the same thing with the blame game. There's always some reasons why you can't do something versus results, and that's definitely the opposite of integrity. You're blaming it on someone else. And one of my very favorite ones is the fact that We may have things that go wrong. There may be challenges. There may be what we might call failures, which I don't believe there are. They're all learning experiences. We may have those. However, it's important. It is so important after the blame has gone to whomever, go to solution as quickly as possible. Don't spend time wallowing in the coulda, shoulda, woulda, your problem.
Yes.
Go to solution. Stop and go to solution. We don't need to play time in the past. You did it one
Amen.
time, let it go and go to solution.
Amen. And you can't look forward. You can't move forward looking back.
That's
And
right.
if God intended for us to look back, He would have put eyes in the back of our heads. He put
That's
eyes
right.
in front of us so that we can look forward and
Absolutely.
live from that. You cannot change the past. It's done. It's over. There's nothing you can do about it. So why focus on it?
Yep.
Which and in relationships, I know that's what you do in relationships. Throwing back in a person's face what they did a week ago, what they did a month ago, what they did a year ago, and also doing that with our children. It is a waste of energy because it takes energy to focus like that. It's a waste of time and it teaches your kids the same.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
each day is a new day.
It ingrains it into them. It's like a record. You're recording it. You're recording it. Every time you continue on the same negativity, you're embedding it more and more, deeper and deeper and deeper. And so many times we build our relationship on things that happened in the past.
Yes.
Well, you didn't do your homework. Well, are you going to do that again today by not doing your homework? What are you doing? You're instilling in them that you expect them to do the same wrong that they did yesterday.
And when you do that with children, you deflate their confidence and their self-esteem.
Yep,
When
absolutely.
you're constantly reminding them of things they've done wrong in the past, you're not
Just
building
keep
them up.
burning
You're
it
not
down.
encouraging them.
Yep.
You're not helping
Mhm.
them. It's a cycle.
Yep. Yep. It keeps building and building. So that's really important to go to the solution. And one of the next ones would be, and so many women have trouble with this, is how to say no. No is a complete sentence, and yet people people spend, and especially mothers, they think that they have to be the superwoman of the year. And what happens is that they may not really want to do something. I use the example several times when I'm doing this, is if you say to someone, well, I guess I'll do it for you if, that's what you want. See how that feels. If
Yeah.
instead I said, no, this doesn't work for me now, which one feels better? I
And
know
like,
exactly what you mean with the second one. This doesn't work for me now. Next, I don't have to explain. I don't have to tell you why it doesn't work for me. I don't have to go into any detail. Whereas no kind of begs that you have to go to detail. But when you say, no, this doesn't work for me, and you can add at this time if you want,
if
or
you
just
want.
that's right, or just this doesn't work for me. Other people will say, however, I could suggest, and then either give them a person or another way of looking at it. So
I
you
like
come to
that.
solution, but you don't have to explain why it doesn't work for you. That's
And
integrity.
the thing is, right, because so often we feel that we have to justify
Mhm.
what it is and why we say what we say. And
That's
if
right.
it's and when you say no, don't keep badgering me about it. I said
That's right.
no. But kids, now my son used to wear me down because I would say no, and he would just, mom, mom, and just keep at it and keep at it. And kids are notorious for doing that, and which causes the parent to finally give in. I'm guilty. I'm guilty. I would give in sometimes because he kept, mom, mom, mom. So parents, stick to your no. All right, go
That's right.
ahead.
This doesn't work for me. Absolutely. And one of my very favorites, and it has changed marriages, it has changed businesses, it has changed relationships, is the 4 R's.
Okay, what are the 4 R's?
The 4 R's. Let's say I'm going to say that, well, it could even be family. We could do a family instead of office because we're family here.
Yes.
Maybe there's a responsibility of one of the kids is to take the garbage out. Okay. And lo and behold, mom comes into the room and the garbage has been toppled over and is on the floor. And she says, "What happened? The garbage is full and it's a mess. I think we need to fix this." And you know she's looking at you because you're responsible for the garbage. So lo and behold, she goes on about her way. And you're beginning to feel bad. It wasn't your fault the garbage was that way. It just happened that way. Maybe the dog did it or the cat did it or whatever. It wasn't your fault. But what happens in that first is that you resent the fact that she blamed you by referring or thinking by your job, and you begin to really you resent that. So what
So,
happens next? She asks you to do something else, and you're already going, I'm not happy about this, and I resent that. That's what you're saying inside. So when she asks you to do something, you're going to resist. Well, I don't need to do that. It's not my responsibility. So you're adding to this pain. And then if it gets bad enough and mom's beginning to feel a little testy herself because you're having an attitude with her, then what happens is she goes through this cycle. And then the last is that either one of you or both want to get revenge. That's
and
the third R. The third R is revenge. Now, the way that you stop that is you insert the fourth R. And the fourth R goes right after the beginning. When you resented the fact that mom implied it was your problem because the garbage was on the floor, immediately or soon thereafter, it's a comment, mom, I felt bad about that because I really didn't put it on the floor and I would have emptied it if it was full. Did you really mean to blame me? So you see how that came in? I reported with love.
and you
So
know what? We need, this is something we need to talk about. Report with,
if
yes.
you stop it right at the beginning, you had the feeling of miscommunication. Is that exactly what you meant? You're not blaming him. You're just saying, I felt the I
Yes.
message. I
Yes.
felt I felt. Now, is that what you meant? Now, think of how
Yes.
many times in relationships, in business, in everything that you have, if you had just stopped it, and I come across it almost every day in networking, people will, well, that didn't, so what? Why don't you bring it up with them and get it out? And
Yes.
don't blame, just say it didn't
Yes.
feel right. Is that what you meant?
Yes.
And 90% of the time, they're going to say, I didn't mean you. I just said that I didn't like something.
Yes.
So,
Yeah, and the thing is, in relationships, not only with at work or with your spouse, but even with your kids, and getting them to learn how to express their feelings, even if it's uncomfortable. Teach them how to say, "This is uncomfortable, mom," or "This is uncomfortable, dad, but this is how I felt when this happened." And by having that kind of communications, then it makes things so much easier. But allowing your children to express how they feel without feeling like they're going to be criticized, ridiculed, or belittled. Let them
Exactly.
express without
Absolutely.
judgment.
Right.
All right.
Absolutely. And letting them, you know, it's so important, and I see it happen all the time. You get halfway through a sentence and you're sure you know the end of the sentence for the kid. Let them say the full thing. Let them express it totally without you stepping on them. How many times do people step on you because they are so sure they know all the answers? Well, no,
Exactly.
they don't all the answers, or else I wouldn't be talking. The point is, let them finish their thought without judgment.
And
Without judgment. And that's one of my final ones that I really want to impress upon people, is that so often we have challenges and things that we know need to be changed. We can see that they need to be changed. But if we use the formula to look at the situation and ask yourself, can I change anything?
exactly. They use the
That's the
serenity
first
prayer.
thing.
Yes.
Yes. Number two is it my responsibility to change this? That's the big question. Number three is, if it isn't my responsibility, what can I change in my mind to adjust to this? Or what can I add to it from what I've learned so it won't happen again? And then I love the bottom of that. The end of it is, and I don't really care whose religion is what. To me, my comment and thought is, I wonder what God's going to do with this one.
I love it. But now I'm writing this stuff down so that we can feed into the audience. So look at the
Well, I did give
situation.
you a sheet. I did give you a sheet that's an overview of everything if you wanted to give it to him.
Oh,
Yeah, he
okay.
probably didn't get it. It was a Word document and it gave a synopsis of all of this.
Okay. Well, we will allow people to. Do you have it in a link where they can
Yeah,
get it?
yeah, but I'm not sure I can run it that fast.
Oh, well,
but yeah.
okay. If you want the sheet, just let me know.
Yeah, 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 do that. Do that in the
Yes, if
comments.
you
Yeah,
want the
please let
sheet,
me know. Yeah, that's
yes,
good, and we'll give you the
but
link. Yeah.
but I've written this stuff out. So look at the situation. Can I change it? Is it my responsibility to change this? Can I change how my perception in my mind about this situation, right? Can
Mhm.
I change my perception of the situation? And what was the other one?
So is it what can you learn from it, and how might you improve the situation so you don't have to do it again? And then the last is, I wonder what God's going to do with this one. So it's a matter of owning it or not owning it. Is it your responsibility or not your responsibility? And without judgment is the biggie. So often, as humans, obviously we have judgment. That's how we do things because our brain looks at our past and makes decisions on beliefs that we've had. However, you don't have to be judgmental more than just the basic stuff. When you let go of judgment of others, then the fear goes away because understanding becomes a rule of thumb. And when
Yeah,
understanding is there, then the fear is gone. And so are a lot of other things that are negative.
absolutely. Absolutely. And that's why the serenity prayer really helps me to focus, because I think, okay, can I change this?
Yep,
If I can change it, number one, why am I worried about it? If I cannot change it, why am I worried about it?
exactly.
So, being able to accept those things we cannot change and changing those things that we can. But people don't want to accept, and it's all about accepting the responsibility. That is key. And what you're talking about, this is stuff people need to hear, Jackie. And I know you do it in your coaching sessions and even when you're doing videos and what have you, but this is really things. These are things that people need to hear. So,
I need to mention before I go on any further, because it's important to me, my mentor is Patricia J. Munson, and she is the one that I will continue to keep these things going as much as I can, because I see so often in our lives that we aren't paying attention to the basic integrity, our basic responsibility for ourselves, that we aren't really showing the world. And I just wanted everyone to pay attention to that.
yeah, that is so important. And and these sometimes is a hard pill to swallow when you got to look at yourself and say, first of all, these things are happening because of me. Now there are things that we have no control over, like the weather and
Right.
things like that. But most things we have control over. And
Now,
so we need,
response. Mhm.
yes, and accepting responsibility is so important. And the communications, you know, avoiding conflict because people don't know how to communicate when there is conflict. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, again, it's iMessages of what you feel versus blaming anyone, that I think is really important. I feel, and I like to put it out in the universe, so to speak, without judgment, or this is the situation that's happening. This is what I've been doing. This is what you've been doing. What is the solution to this? Putting it
Yeah,
right up in front of them. I mentor a sorority sister. I'll just bring that up because it's so funny. Back east, and that's what I'm always trying to teach her. She works in a corporate environment, and I'm always trying to teach her to mediate, because she gets all excited. She's young and she gets all excited about solving this, that, and the other. And I said, just state what it is. Just state
yes,
what's happening. Just go to solution, basically. State what's happening. Now, how are we going to fix it?
yes, exactly. How are we
How
going
are
to fix it?
we
And you
going to
know
fix
what? I'm going to put that in the chat as well. How are we? And I'm going to capitalize the we.
it? Mhm.
Oh, wait. I went to the wrong space. Okay. How are we going to fix this?
Yep.
Yes,
So it gives them the
absolutely.
responsibility. It the gives them the respect that they are capable of changing whatever's happening.
Yes, yes. Beautiful. And can you imagine if relationships followed this? Just think, you'd have happier homes, you'd have jobs that are more conducive to productivity. We'd have a world that would be full of love and peace instead of all this other garbage that's going on. Just imagine. And you know
Yeah.
what, Jackie? I do have commercials that I'm supposed to be airing.
Oh,
I
yeah.
get
Go
so
ahead.
caught up in conversations that it makes it hard. But I'm going to run a couple back to back and
Okay.
then come back. Sound money benefits. with everything that's going on with our financial institutions, the fact that several states, including Arkansas, have determined that people can now use gold and silver for tender rather than the dollar, the fact that the dollar is only worth 3 cents, you might want to check out www Sound Money Benefits.
Podcasting is trending. Celebrities and everyday people every single day are starting podcasts. You may be even thinking about starting a podcast yourself. But the question still remains the same. How can you start, launch, brand, market, and grow your podcast? How can you connect with the right people in the media and the podcasting industry in order to elevate your visibility? And what type of mindset do you really need to have in order to be a successful podcaster? And the big question, how can you monetize your podcast? Well, hello, everybody. I am Dr. Tina J. Ramsey, host of the Tina Ramsey Show, podcast coach and podcast network owner. And the good thing is that I have you covered. You can ask all of these burning questions and so much more to our experienced media and podcasting professionals on our live Q&A at the Power of Podcasting event that I am personally inviting you to on May the 6th from 2 to 7 p.m. in Atlanta, Georgia at the Pop-Up and Create. I want you to experience for yourself a live taping of the Tina Ramsey Show, and your ticket, get this, includes our #1 podcast course, an autographed copy of the Power of Podcasting book, a swag bag with exclusive goodies, delicious food, and networking. So whether you are looking to just simply expand your knowledge, connect with like-minded individuals, or simply have a good time, our event has something for everyone. So I don't want you to miss out on this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. So I want you to buy your ticket and secure your spot for our event, because it is the event of the year, because these tickets will sell out fast. So go to ctrmedianetwork.com and purchase your ticket today. I can't wait to see you there at the Power of Podcasting. Get your ticket today at ctrmedianetwork.com.
CTR Media Network. I'm really proud to be a part of that network and can't wait for May 6th when they're going to be in my neck of the woods in Atlanta with the Tina Ramsey Show live. So get your tickets. Go to ctrmedianetwork.com and get your ticket today. I know she only has a couple left, so you want to go ahead and do that right away. I've got one more that I'm going to share, and then we will continue.
Diamonds and emeralds and pearls, oh my. Diamonds and emeralds and pearls, oh my. Sapphire Emerald Magazine truly knows the gifted and talented people.
Sapphire Emerald is a magazine that represents the diversities of the world's news. We believe in presenting people in a positive light and helping the public see them in a different perspective. We report on entertainment, nonprofit organizations, film producers, actors, actresses, culinary arts, fashions, and the positive principles of understanding art. Our mission is to bring people's spectacular talents into focus and allow them to sparkle like the precious emeralds, diamonds, pearls, and sapphire stones.
This is Estelle, California, and I just want to say how grateful and honored I am to be on the cover of Sapphire Emerald magazine for the March issue. Their story says, Estelle.
If you're interested in being on the cover or in Sapphire Emerald magazine, email the publicist, sapphireemeraldmagazine@gmail.com. All right. And we got the link to all the stuff we've been talking about. So, I'm going to do that. Okay. I was trying to get rid of the banner. All right. So, we have the link, and I am getting ready to put it on the screen, as a matter of fact. So let me do that. Oops, that's not it. Well, Jackie, go ahead. Keep talking while I'm getting this part together.
One of the interesting things that I find happens is that as women try to do absolutely everything to become super women, they are teaching their children. And that so often happens. I have my daughter-in-law has had some extreme things happen, death of her child, lots of different things, illnesses, so on and so forth. And one of the resounding things that she told me, and it really hit home, was that when she continued to, so to speak, muster through, to go through all of the things that were happening in her life, her body crashed. She didn't listen to her body. She just had to be the superwoman. She had to get it all done. And then she became more sick. So the problem is that we are so determined to be better and the best and an image of the superwoman that we have, that we don't listen to our body, and we teach our children the same by our
Oh,
example.
that is such a valid point. People don't realize, one, when we have, and stress, let's talk about stress for a minute, because there are two forms of stress, there's good stress and there's bad stress. That bad stress is distress, dis-ease. And so when we allow ourselves to get so worked up and so overwhelmed, I've been talking about being overwhelmed, right? And so overwhelmed
Yeah.
that we allow sickness to creep in. I remember being young and having colitis because I allowed stress to impact me to the point where I got sick and was on baby food and bland food for a couple of months because I allowed stress to creep in. And so these things that we're talking about today are things that will help eliminate some of that stress. And don't, as women, don't feel like you got to carry the whole weight of the world on your shoulders. I am convinced that both of my sisters died at such an early age. They had cancer, but they died at an early age because they carried the weight of the world on their shoulders. Both of them did. Their families, their friends, everything concerned them. Don't get it twisted. I'm not saying I don't care about people or things. It's just that you have to let go of some things that you don't have any control over. And one of the things we have no control over is how other people are. We have no control over that. So why am I going to worry about how somebody else is feeling if I can't convey to them some positives, just like what we're trying to do today, and they don't want to listen? Then what are you going to do? All right.
Yeah,
I'll shut up.
absolutely. And the other thing is that one thing that I realized about 10 years ago is that the saying, I'm a big person for collecting quotes. That's been so important in my life. And one of the my very favorites is that I feel at peace because I trust and follow my internal guidance.
Let's talk about peace.
And when
There is,
you realize you have the answers, you have been tailored, you have been sculpted, you have been created for years in your life to answer what is in front of you, to be able to do what you need to do. You have all the answers within you. You
I love
should be
it.
able to have a peace because you know the answers. And if you've been around as long as I have, you feel like you really have a lot more. So the point is that you do have it within you if you allow yourself the right questions and to be able to realize that once I thought that, I thought, I do. I do have the answers. I really do. Why am I stressing over this thing? All I have to do is to ask the right questions. And it really changed my life because, to be honest with you, God doesn't make junk.
Right, right. And he does give you. I believe in the Holy Spirit. And I believe that if we ask, and that spirit is within us, just as Jacque is saying, it's within us. So if we ask, if we are still, there's a scripture that says, be still and know that I am God. So if we are still, then the answers will come and
That's
that
right.
peace will come. There's nothing like peace. There's nothing. I remember my son, he was staying with me, and it got to the point where I eventually had to say, all right, goodbye, you got to go. Okay. And the day he left, and he didn't leave with animosity, he didn't leave jumping, screaming, and cursing. He just recognized it was time and he left. Okay. But the day he left, there was such a peace that overcame the atmosphere. I mean, there's nothing like that peace. There's nothing like that peace. Okay. And so Jacque can relate to it. I can relate to it. You can relate to it if you allow yourself to. All right.
Yeah, and another one is that what you think of me is not my responsibility.
Amen. Amen. And which comes back to Eleanor Roosevelt's, no one can make me feel inferior without your permission. So it
Absolutely.
doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you think of me. It doesn't matter how you
It's
feel
your
about me.
problem. It's not me. However,
Exactly.
you want to be able to leave people. You go back to the Teddy Roosevelt. Nobody cares how much you know until they know how much you care.
Yes,
And all
yes,
of that is the same concept of realizing that you're going to give them the best you can and
yes,
leave them with that emotion. However, what you really think about me is none of my business. So don't even pretend to do that. What was the other one? Do not let the behavior of others destroy your inner peace. I love that one.
yes. Oh, I love it. Say that.
Yeah.
Oh, say
Yeah.
that again. Say that
Do,
again.
do not let the behavior of others destroy your inner peace.
I have an example of that. When my one of my sisters, when she was sick and I was there with her, there were members of the family that her husband did not want me there. And he did everything in his power to make it difficult for me. And at first, it was working, because it was working. But then I would leave my house, and on my way to their house, this was before I actually moved in with them, I would say, peace be still, peace be still, peace be still. And I would say it from the time I got in my car until I got to their house, saying, peace be still, peace be still. So the first time I did that, and I walked in the house, and all this stuff, he's coming at me, he's coming at me. And I was so peaceful. I didn't respond, I didn't react. And my sister, she said, I saw that. I saw that. And so, what Jacque is saying, you do not have to allow other people to disturb your peace. You do not. You do not have to take on the attitudes and behaviors of someone who's going off on you. You don't. You
No.
don't have to do that. You know that this is one of those shows that's full of wisdom. You know that, right? I mean, that's what you do, right? I'm loving it. Okay. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, I always used to tell my kids, it takes two for a fight.
Yes.
And if there's only one, you can't do it. And I love this, and my husband's not in earshot, so he won't hear me. Is that he'll go on and on about something that I don't agree about, and I just quiet. I know the answer. I know I'm right. Oh, here he comes. Here he comes. I know the answer, and I know I'm right, so I'm quiet. Who cares?
Right.
Who
Right.
cares? You know?
Right. But
And
but
so,
then there's go ahead. I'm sorry.
yeah, it's which mountain you want to go through. It's which
Choose
mountain
your
you want to
battle.
take on. And um, uh, I hate to say this quote, but it is so appropriate when someone is ranting and raving, and it is Well, you're going to take it the way it is because it's too funny not to. I will say, get off the cross, we need the wood.
I love it.
And
I
that's
love
my
it.
mentor's saying, because you're up there, deciding that this is going to be the now and forever, and that's the way it is. Okay, that's your opinion. I agree to disagree.
Absolutely. Agree to disagree.
Mhm.
Agree to disagree. And one of the things you mentioned earlier, and it has to do with listening. A lot of times we are so caught up in what we're going to say, or we blurt out, as you were saying, interrupting that other person before they finish saying what they had to say. And that's saying you're not listening. You're not listening.
Mhm.
If you're truly listening, you're going to give the person a chance to finish their sentence.
Yeah.
Whether it's your child, your spouse, a coworker, give them time to finish what they have to say without conjuring up in your mind what you're going to say, because when you do that, you're not listening.
Yeah.
And we've got, all right, Miss Tina Ramsey says she's loving this. Okay, great. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Glad you're here listening. All right. And then there was another point that you made. Yeah, I think I'm having a senior moment here. I don't remember. Anyway, go ahead.
Huh.
Okay. So you had, this is, oh my God, this has been a powerful conversation. We have thrown out so many nuggets that if you start practicing what you have, and I put them all in the chat. They're all in the chat, and you can get the link. The handout for the link is right here, and I've also put that in the chat. I'm telling you, we can control our destiny. We can control our happiness. We can control our peace. We can control it. All right, go ahead, Jackie.
Yeah, one last comment by a very dear friend, Dr. Paula Fellingham. She's a relationship coach as much as she is anything. That when children are doing something wrong, instead of throwing something at them, like it was your fault, you did this, that, all the things that were bad, she suggests instead to say, I know that you know the right way to do that, and you are such a good person, and you definitely would not have done that if you had thought about it. So I would like you to reconsider this in the future.
Absolutely,
Is
absolutely,
that not a nicer way to go about it?
absolutely.
If you can get all that out without getting really
Exactly.
upset.
Exactly, because one of the things that I vowed I would never do, I vowed I would never call my son out of his name, because having grown up with that and knowing how it impacted me, I vowed I would never call him stupid. I would never call him
Oh yeah.
lazy. I would
Oh.
never call him bad. I would never call him out of his name. But that doesn't say that he didn't do things that were stupid,
It's what he
So,
did, not what he
right.
is, what he did.
Exactly. And so, what I would say to him, that was a stupid thing you did. However, I am not calling you stupid. You're better than this. And then start questioning, what made you do that? Tell me your process. What made you,
Yeah.
so
Yeah,
in
that's good.
addition to
That's
in
good.
addition
That's
to
good.
what
Yeah.
your coach was saying,
Yeah.
question your kids, ask questions instead of criticizing, instead of belittling, instead of calling them out of their name. Question them. What made you do this?
Mhm.
What were you thinking when you did this?
And what might have been a better approach?
And what exactly? That's the last one. What could you have done differently?
Yeah,
Yes,
absolutely.
we're giving you nuggets here, you guys. And you know what? We've got 30 seconds left. Jackie, I'm going to give you the floor and let you end this. I can't believe the time went so fast. Okay. You got the floor.
Well, I have just two quotes that I find guide my life. And one of them is that coincidence is God choosing to remain anonymous. And the other is to be open to wonder rather than closed by belief. And that's by Gary Spence.
Say that again. Repeat that again.
The last one or the first one? Anyhow,
Both of them.
coincidence is God. Coincidence, this is anonymous. Coincidence is God choosing to be anonymous. And the second one by Gary Spence is to be open to wonder rather than closed by belief.
I love it. And you know what? I don't need to say anymore. So thank you so much for being my guest. I have enjoyed this broadcast, and I know we gave some nuggets that people would pay thousands of dollars for. So
Yeah, right.
take heed. You got some free stuff here today. And so thank you so much for being here. And if you will hold on and as I close out. All right. God bless you all. Have a great week. And I'll see you all on Thursday.
The Vera Thomas Show. The Vera Thomas Show. The Vera Thomas Show. The Vera Thomas Show. Let's talk about it. 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 On the Vera Thomas Show. Let's talk